In this demonstration, we're going to look at configuring our DNS server, and we're going to look at configuring Active Directory domain services integrated zones. So currently on my server, we've got it currently set up as a DNS server, it's currently a member server, and it's currently got contoso.com as a DNS zone. Now if I just right click on this zone, and if we have a look at the properties, one of the things I can't currently do, as this is not an Active Directory domain controller, is I cannot set up Active Directory integration. Active Directory integration allows more efficient replication and secure replication of DNS traffic. It also allows us to have a multi-master type replication partnership. So I'll select OK at this point here. So what we have to do to start with is we have to make this server an Active Directory domain controller. And to do that, we'll just come to Server Manager. And then within Server Manager, we'll just add roles and features. Just before you begin, we'll select Next. On our installation type, we're going to go for role-based or feature-based installation and select Next. I'm going to do it for this server, so we'll select Next. Then what we'll do is we're going to install Active Directory domain services, add all of the additional features for the management tools. Then we'll select Next. We're not going to bother with any additional features, so we'll select Next. Have a quick read through and select Next. Just on the confirmation, this will actually require a restart. So what we're going to do at this point here is we will turn on a little tick box here for restart the destination server automatically if required, and say yes, and then we'll select install. This is just going to take a couple of minutes, so at this point what we'll do is we'll just pause the presentation and return back once the installation is complete. So now the installation is complete, the next thing we need to do is promote this server to be a domain controller. So we'll click on the hyperlink. And what we're going to do at this point here is, as we can see, our Active Directory domain is currently called Demo12. We are going to add a domain controller to an existing domain. So we'll select Next. Then what we're going to do at this point here is we're happy with it being a DNS server. We're happy with it being a global catalog server. And we're happy with it going into default first site name as the Active Directory site. And the only other thing we need to do now is put in our directory service restore mode password. And then we select Next. This warning isn't an issue, so a delegation for this DNS server cannot be created because the authoritative parent zone cannot be found. We're happy with that. Don't need to worry about that, so we're not going to bother updating the DNS delegation either. We'll just select Next. Then the additional options, I'm not going to install from media. I will replicate from any domain controller and select Next. Fairly happy with the default locations for the Active Directory files, so we'll select Next. Just review everything. We're happy with everything on here, so we'll select Next again. It'll now go through the prerequisite check. And the important thing on this screen here is the tick. We're not really bothered too much about the warnings, so we'll select Install. So it's now checking the domain upgrade status. This will take a little while just for it to go through the Active Directory upgrade. So at this point we'll pause the presentation and return back once the installation is complete. As we can see, we're about to do a restart, so what we'll do is we'll pause the presentation again and return back once the server has rebooted. So as we can see, the server is now rebooted, so what we'll do at this point here is we'll just log in. And the next thing we'll do is we'll just go to our DNS server and we'll create an Active Directory integrated DNS zone. So we'll just move over to the other server and we'll just launch up our DNS utility. And then in our DNS utility, all we'll do is we'll make sure we are on our LON DC1 machine. We'll come to our forward lookup zones, and what we're going to do at this point here is we are actually going to create a new forward lookup zone. So we'll right click and we'll select New Zone. This will bring us into Wizard, so at this point here we'll select Next. We're going to go for a primary zone. We'll make sure it's stored in Active Directory and select Next again. And then what we're going to do at this point here is we're just going to replicate to all of the DNS servers running on domain controllers in this domain and select Next. Then all we need to do is give it a name. I'm going to call this trayresearch.net and select Next. What we're also going to do at this point here is we will allow, let's allow both non-secure and secure dynamic updates and select Next again. And then select Finish. And that has now created Tray Research. So the next thing to do at this point here is we'll just create a new record within Tray Research. So we'll right click, we'll go for a new host record, And what we'll do at this point here is we'll make a www, and then we just need to specify an IP address, and we'll make that IP address 172.16.0.100, and then we'll select add host. Then we'll select OK, and then we'll select done. Now what will happen at this point here, because our Tor-SVR1 machine is also in this Active Directory domain, it is a domain controller, and we did say to replicate all of these records across to all DNS servers within the domain. We'll swap back to the other DNS server and just verify that replication has occurred. And on Tor-SVR1, we'll just come into Server Manager. And within Server Manager, we'll just launch up the DNS utility. And then what we're looking for, once we get into DNS utility and our forward lookup zones, we're looking for tray research, we're looking for Active Directory integrated primary, and we can see it is running. And final thing to check, just make sure that the record has replicated through as well that we created, and there's the www record. And that's the end of this demonstration. Thank you.